Hi everyone, welcome. In this video, we are going to build a Spring Boot app using Kafka. Okay, so let's see what all points we are going to cover in this video. Fine. Okay, so our first point is we are going to set up Kafka using Docker with Spring Boot integration. Okay, I'm gonna show you how we'll set up our Kafka using Docker with Spring Boot integration. Okay, fine. The second most important thing is we are going to build a Spring Boot project from scratch. I'm going to show you everything, teach you everything. Okay, and the reasons, the lines of code, what we are going to write in this project. Everything I'm gonna explain you so that in future you can build at your own. Okay, fine. The third and most important thing is you very well know what? Debug the project. The most important thing is debug the project. Okay, so that you should get to know the flow of control, where my control is going. When I start my application, when I send the message to the Kafka, when my producer service hits, when my consumer services hits. Okay, everything. Okay, so most important, debug the project. Okay, so now to set up the Kafka, what you will need? You will need at very first thing Docker desktop installed on your machine. Okay, so yeah, you can see. So I've already installed Docker desktop on my machine. If you haven't done yet, then you can go to your any browser and just hit download Docker. Okay, so click on the very first link. Fine. And you can see there is an option download Docker desktop. Okay, you can choose your OS according to that, download and installed it and keep it ready. Okay, fine. Fine. Now the second thing to set up the Kafka, that is create the Spring Boot app. Okay, yeah, definitely. See, we want to build a Spring Boot app using Kafka. So first we need to create it once. Okay, fine. So same thing, Spring Initializer. Okay, and you can just go here. Fine, you can give any name. So Spring app using Kafka. Okay, whatever. Dependencies, first web, then Kafka. Okay, Apache Kafka. Then you can see explore and you just scroll down Spring Kafka. Okay, artifact ID. Fine. So the next dependency is you can add the Lombok. Okay, and DevTools. Yeah, that's it. Fine. Okay, you can just generate it. Okay, fine. Let me go there and extract the project. So extract all. Okay, fine. Okay, so now let me go to my Eclipse and let me import the project. Fine. So import existing Maven project, browse and downloads. Okay, fine. Today modification. Yeah, I got my app. Okay, select folder and finish it. Okay, let it import. Hardly few seconds. Okay, fine. So imported. Let me go to the pom.xml. Here is our app. Okay, so let me little bit zoom it. Okay, so you can see Spring Web, Spring Kafka. Okay, and DevTools, Lombok. Okay, fine. So now let's install the Kafka in our machine. Okay, let's download, install, and run the Kafka. Fine. Now there are many ways we can, download, install, and run the Kafka. The first is from the official website. So you can just go to kafka.apache.org. Okay, and you can see there is a button download Kafka. Okay, you can just click on this button and you can download the Kafka, which will get you, okay, the Kafka with Zookeeper replacement that is KRaft. Okay, Kafka Raft. But we are not going to adopt this approach. Not. We are going to download the Kafka using recommended approach. That is by creating docker hyphen compose.yml file. Docker compose file. Okay. So it will install and run the Kafka at the same time. Fine. So for that, let's go to our, okay. Yeah. So let's go to our, this project and create the file, docker compose.yml file. Okay. Right click new file, docker hyphen compose.yml. Okay. Created. Now paste this code. Don't worry. Okay, I know you might be thinking like, what is this code? Okay, from where you just copied this code? Okay, now how we can write this code? Don't worry, no need to by heart this code, nothing else. Just remember, this container name is Kafka KRaft. Okay, just you can just see here, and there are two port numbers. First is 9092 for the communication. Okay, Spring Boot app communicate to the Kafka, and 9093 for the internal communication. Okay, controllers, fine. This is for the producers, consumers. That's it. Now the question is, where do you get this code? In the description, I have pasted, I've added two links. Okay, two links. One is docker compose.yml with KRaft. The second link is docker compose.yml with Zookeeper. We'll go with this one. Okay, because now you don't need Zookeeper to run Kafka. Without Zookeeper you can run. Since version 2.8 plus, and the Kafka is going to be deprecated because the current stable version is 3.9.1 and the Kafka team has launched 4.0. So 4.0 is entirely running without Zookeeper. Okay, so let me also show you the document. Fine. So you can see it's a Confluent document. Okay. Yeah. So can you see this Kafka 4.0 is a significant milestone, marking the first major release to operate entirely without Apache Zookeeper. Fine. But you should learn it and I'm gonna teach you. Okay, why? On one hand you are just telling it is going to deprecate it, and the second you're telling we're gonna learn it because many industry systems is still using the Zookeeper. Okay, they're migrating. Okay, so they are migrating Zookeeper KRaft. Okay, and job interviewers might ask about the Zookeeper. Okay, definitely. So that's why I'm gonna teach you everything in coming few projects. Okay, as we are going to build 20 or 30 plus real world projects, which I guarantee going to cover every microservices topics. Just do my projects. That's it. Okay. Plus, I'm gonna launch the microservices course also, which contains 450 modules. 450 modules plus React series. All three courses. So if you want, then please you can, there is a form linked. I have just pasted in the description the link. You can just fill, okay, and you can inquire that. Okay, fine. The second most important thing is open the command prompt. Okay, I hope you have gone to the description. Then just click on the KRaft link, copy that Docker Compose YML and paste it in your Docker Compose YML file. Okay, now go to your directory. Which directory? Your project directory. Properties, just copy this and again cd. Fine. I'm in my Spring app using Kafka, and now hit this command docker compose -d. Okay, that's it. You can see running 0 by 1 Kafka pulling. Kafka pulling. Okay, so let's wait for few seconds and you can see pulling. It's downloading. Okay, once it downloaded, it will create the container here in my Docker desktop. Okay, so let's wait for a few minutes till it finished. Okay, so it's about to complete. Fine, you can see container Kafka KRaft creating. Let me open it. Okay, and you can just see here. Yeah, can you see? Let me click on it. And so it is started. Fine. Now let me open my Docker and I want you to focus here. Kafka server started. Okay, fine. So suppose if you just the another Docker Compose link with Zookeeper. Okay, just if you copy that Docker Compose YML, so in that case, same thing happen. Run the same command and two things get pulled, Kafka and Zookeeper. Okay, so here in that case, Kafka and Zookeeper. Okay, same thing. Fine, it's a replacement. Now Kafka don't need Zookeeper to run. Okay, so that's a very great thing. Okay, KRaft. And going to deprecate it. Zookeeper going to deprecate it. Fine. Okay, that's it. Now let's start our coding part. Kafka setup is done. Kafka setup is completely done. Okay, fine. So our first point, set up Kafka using Docker with Spring Boot integration is done. Now let's build the Spring Boot project from scratch. Okay, so um first let me create the skeleton structure. So new class. So what controller. First let's create the what model. Okay, message. Then DTO, you can call message request. Then class service, producer service, Kafka producer service. Okay, and one more. I'm just creating one more. Kafka real or batch process consumer service. Fine. Let's real time notification service. Okay, we can create any. So I already explained you in my Kafka crash course video that there are, okay, so Kafka real time consumer service. Okay, yeah, consumer service. Okay, now if you remember in my past Kafka crash course video, I told you there are multiple consumer services. Just like these classes, there are multiple classes. Okay, for each consumer services. So let's take an example of Uber. Uber. Okay, we all know Uber. We all used Uber. Fine. So now the first consumer service is Kafka real-time notification service, which is responsible to send the notification to the customers. That notifications like your driver is 2 minutes away, okay, or reach to your location, or whatever notification, okay, we'll get once we'll book the cab, okay, we are in the cab, we reach to our location, so what all notification we'll get, this consumer service is responsible for that. The business logic written in this class is responsible for that. Okay, so that is a service, consumer service. Similarly, we'll create multiple classes, multiple services. Let's say the other is Kafka, not real time, Kafka fraud detection consumer service. Kafka fraud detection consumer service. Another class we've created another service. Okay, so this class, this service is responsible for fraud detection. The business logic will write in this will detect the fraud. Whether suppose you book the ride, okay, so whether driver is not moving, okay, or driver is following the wrong path, fine, wrong way, okay, so all type of fraud. So this service is responsible to detect the fraud. Okay, let's say some other Kafka analytics consumer service. Okay, Uber does some analytics. Okay, and let's say some other service, Kafka batch processing. Okay, which is responsible for the batch processing, bulk insert to our SQL. Get my point? So there are multiple services. Okay, so overall, please pay attention here. Overall, this is our Kafka producer service. Okay, Kafka producer service. Okay, so now Kafka producer service sends the data to the Kafka. Sends the data to the Kafka. Okay, Kafka stored that data. Okay, in whatever partition, in whatever offset. Okay, just remember Kafka stored the data. Fine. That's it. Now what Kafka will do with that data? We need to execute these business logic. We need to send the notification to the consumers. We need customers. We need to send. We need to detect the fraud. We need to do some analysis. We need to, you know, do the batch processing. Fine. So for that we have created different consumer services. So real time consumer services, fraud detection consumer services, batch processing consumer services, analytics some consumer services. All these classes. So these will consume this data. Consume this data. Consume. Okay, consume this data. Fine. Now you might be thinking that there's definitely one doubt in your head. Okay, so Kafka producer sending the data to the Kafka. Okay, how? So we have one send method which will take the message content, the data. For example, the data is okay, so the data is, let's say, you or your driver is 2 minutes away. Your driver is 2 minutes away. This is what the data need to send. Fine. So the send method takes this message content. Okay, and then rest all the process send method will do. Okay, send method will send the data to the Kafka, and Kafka is stored this data. Your driver is 2 minutes away. This is the data. Okay, fine. But now this is the data. Your driver is 2 minutes away. This is what the notification. Okay, notification service need to send this to the customers. How? Like, okay, producer send this using the send method to the Kafka. Kafka is stored, but how consumer consume? So for that, we will create a listener. All these consumer services listen the data. Okay, using at Kafka listener annotation. Listen the data and then apply the business logic for whatever. Getting a point? Okay. Great, great, great. I just want you to learn the flow, the concept, and how to build a Spring Boot app using Kafka. Okay, fine. From the next, the other projects like e-commerce, order processing, streaming platforms, I'll do direct. I'm not gonna explain each and everything. Okay, fine. So this we have created. The next thing is application properties. Okay, let me create a file application.yml. Okay, that's it. And yeah, one more thing, controller, we forget it. So class controller and message controller. Okay, that's it. Fine. So now our first add data. Okay, all args, no args. Fine. And let's keep it as a string. Fine. So private string ID, private string content, message content. Okay. One question. Okay, you can just try it. It's your homework. Fine. So at the end of the video, I'll just give you. Okay, fine. So next is private string sender. Sender. Fine. Now our message request, that is DTO. So just add two fields, message content and okay, we'll pass it in from the postman. Okay, fine. Now our message controller. REST controller and request mapping API messages. Okay, fine. So let's first, okay, public response entity string, and first let's check the health of our application. Nothing big deal. Return response entity dot okay, and Kafka server is running. Yeah, that's it. Get mapping, check health. Okay, the next and important API is send message, public response entity string send message. Okay, so one second. Add request body and message request. Okay, yeah, fine. Message request, post mapping, send message. And so now let's generate a unique ID. Okay, so that is why I have just, yeah, unique ID here. Okay, so unique ID, how will generate? Okay, string message ID uuid dot random dot to string. Okay, fine. And let me auto wire the producer service. Okay, so private Kafka producer service and dot send message. Let me pass the message ID. Okay, and message request. So message request contains message content and sender. And after that, let me create an object. Okay, where is my, so message request dot get message content and message request dot get sender. Okay, now visible. Okay, then return response entity dot, okay, and message sent with the ID, message ID. Okay, fine. So now let's create send message method in the Kafka producer service. See, so in the postman, we will just provide, we will hit this API URL pattern send message, and we'll just in the body we'll provide the message request. Okay, that means content and sender. So content will provide as your driver is 2 minutes away or whatever content. Okay, and then here, see, so the next control should goes to the producer service. Okay, because we have hit this API. Now the job of producer service to send that content, that message content, that message to the Kafka. Okay, that's why Kafka producer service next. Okay, so Kafka producer service, fine. And public void send message. So I'm getting a string message ID, a string content, message content, and a string sender. Fine. So let me create an object message. Yeah. Okay. I've already added the constructor. And then let me create another method. Let me pass this object message. Okay. So that is responsible to send the message. So please focus. Send message. Yeah. Okay, I'm getting the message. Now log. Okay, so let me add some logging statements also. Private is static. Final logger slf4j equals logger factory dot get logger and the class name dot class. Okay, so now let me add logger dot info. Okay, and sending message to the top. Okay, so I need to create the topic. Let me create the topic. Private is static. Final is string topic. Okay, so suppose let's take an example of Uber. Okay, so topic should be the driver location. Okay, because so once driver is moving, okay, to your home address, so continuously billions of driver sending their location to the Kafka, okay, and then consumer service consuming that data, driver location, and doing the process, okay, sending the notification, fraud detection, batch process, analysis, whatever. Okay, so the topic I already explained the Kafka crash course. If you haven't seen, please go and watch that. Okay, fine. So topic. Okay, now Kafka temp. Okay, so need to also auto-wire that private Kafka template. Okay, string object. Okay, Kafka template and auto-wire. Okay, string object. See, because our ID and this is what the message content. Our ID is in the string. Okay, you can see. So this is what the ID. Fine, partition key, ID, and the object is this message, actual message content. Fine. Now just look at here. Kafka template, just one method, Kafka template dot send. Okay, so I'm gonna explain you everything. Kafka template dot send means it will publishes the message to the Kafka. Publishes message to the Kafka. Okay, you can just note down or uh, you can just understand. Fine. Now it takes topic. Okay. Second is the key, partition key, our message ID. So we have an object dot get ID, and third is the entire object message. Okay. And completable future send result. Okay, one second. So send result, Kafka, and same thing. String is our ID and object. Completable future. So let me give the variable name as future. Okay, see, this is asynchronous. Asynchronous, the method does not block waiting for the result. Fine. So this will send the message. This will publish the message to the Kafka. One method we have used the send method. Okay, publishes message to the Kafka. Now ended up in success or exception. Yeah, maybe possible. Like suppose something something got failed. Okay, so we need to check it. For that, first future variable future dot when complete. Okay, so when complete is a callback function that execute once this future completes in a success or with an error. So how to do it? Two variables, result and exception. Fine. Okay. So result contains success information. Exception contains, as the name indicating, exception. Okay. So we need to check if exception not equals null. Okay. Exception is not null. That means exception contains some exception. Okay. So logger dot info, not info dot error. Okay, so fail to process the send the message. Okay, and exception dot get message. Fine. Else suppose exception is null. If exception is null, that means yeah, we got the success result. Logger dot info message sent. Okay, with the offset. So let's get the offset. Result dot get record metadata dot offset. Okay, if you remember, I already explained you offset. Okay, offset means the position of the message in the partition. Okay, so suppose this is the partition. This is the partition 0, and there are messages stored M1, M2, M3, M4. If this line executes and we got message sent with the offset 2. Okay, remember offset is just like a index in an array. Okay, so we get to know, okay, message 1 is stored in the partition 0. Message 2 is stored in the partition 0. Message 3 is stored in the partition 0. Okay, so index number 0, 1, 2. Offset is 0, 1, 2. 2, that means this is our message. Yeah, because we get to know, okay, our offset is 2. And also, we'll get to know the partition. So if partition is 0, offset is 2, that means definitely M3 is our message. Fine. Okay, fine. So that's it. That's it for the Kafka producer service. Okay, job done. Message sent to the topic. Okay. and we also handle the exception. Fine, fine. So now Kafka stored the message. Okay, now it's our consumer services turn to consume the data, that message. So first we need to, that services need to listen that. Okay, so let's do it at, at, okay, service. Fine. Okay, so public void listen and Kafka listener. Hmm. Kafka listener topics. Okay, so topics. What's the topic? Yeah, 1 second. I'm getting an error. Send message. So, oh, send message. Okay, fine. So topic, driver location. Okay, driver location, and then group ID. Group ID. So let's say demo group. Okay, yeah, that's it. Now, okay. First is payload. Payload. Tell me what's the payload? The actual content? Message. The actual content. Okay, fine. Then let's fetch from the header, Kafka headers. Okay, what all the message sent to the Kafka. Fine. Now to which partition, which topic, which offset we need to fetch from the Kafka headers. Okay, so HEA header. Hmm. And Kafka headers dot received topic is string topic, then header Kafka headers dot received partition, int partition, header, then Kafka headers, what all we need? Offset. Offset, yeah, we need it. Okay, fine. And then let me add the, okay, let me add the logger here too. Private is static final logger equals logger factory dot get logger and the class name dot class. Okay, so logger dot info and message received from topic partition and offset. Okay, so topic is this topic, partition and offset. Okay, Kafka header. Okay, topic, partition, offset. Okay, we'll see in our console. Okay, fine. And the message content also, let's see. So message content, the message. Okay, so everything will just, see in the console. Okay, fine. Now, process real time notifications, and let me pass the message. Let me also enclosed in try. Okay, catch exception dot error message processed failed. Okay, and here also logger dot info message processed successfully. Fine. Now let me create this method. Okay, actual business logic. Public void process and message. Fine. Logger dot info and so processing message. Fine. Message dot get message content. Okay, and here once again let me also simulate the processing time. So thread dot sleep, let's say 100 millisecond, simulate the processing time. Catch should be the interrupted. Yeah, interrupted exception. Okay, so thread dot current thread dot interrupt and throw new runtime exception. Okay, processing interrupted. Fine. Yeah, and here what? Actual business logic. Okay, so this is what our consumer service. Fine. So did you get it? Like, so this is what the listen. Okay, fine. Once producer service, send the message to the Kafka. Send the message. This is the message we are passing. Okay, to the topic. Fine. So we'll use the Kafka template. Okay, message sent to the Kafka. Then there are different consumer services, real time, whatever, real time, fraud detection, batch update. Okay, so they will listen. They will listen. Okay, the topic is driver location. Fine, we provide the topic. Okay, so from the header in the payload, this the message. Okay, I'm getting and from the header I'm getting the topic partition offset. Okay, fine, I got it. Then here the actual business logic. Fine, we have listened that data. Now another method for the business logic. Okay, so the business logic for in this case is sending the notification via WebSocket to the customers. Okay, fine. And then I'm simulating the processing time. Okay, some few milliseconds. Okay, let's say 100 or 200. Fine, 100. Yeah, that's it. And then once processing message, okay, message delivered. So we'll just say message processed successfully. And then again, come back here, message sent with ID, message ID will get this in Postman. Yeah, get my point. So I hope you get the complete, you know, the complete base, and we all are ready to build what? Our next e-commerce application. Okay, Amazon uses Kafka or either one of them or Netflix. Fine, streaming platform. Because there I'm going to code direct. I'm just going to code the business logic, okay, and connect the files. That's it. These all like partitions and where, and the control is going, okay, in which flow. Everything I'm not gonna explain there. Okay, fine. So the last thing remaining is application.yml. Okay, fine. Let's code it and then let's debug our application to show you that fine the flow of our Kafka project. Okay, fine. Let's code our application.yml. Okay, so at first we need to provide the Kafka broker address. Okay, Kafka broker address. Okay, or we can say Kafka server address, which is, we all know that we have installed the Kafka localhost 9092. Okay, see, we should let our Spring Boot app know the address. so that our Spring Boot application will connect to the Kafka which is running locally on the port number 1992. Fine. Okay, so how to do that? Spring Kafka bootstrap servers. Okay, and let me open my Docker. You can see localhost 9092. Fine. Localhost 9092. Okay. Now producer and consumer configuration. Fine. Nothing much. Just need to serialize and deserialize key and values. Fine. See, producer sends the message. Okay. So need to serialize key and value. Similarly, consumer need to deserialize key and value. Okay, so just that configuration and acknowledgement retries, and for the security purpose we'll provide the you know the path. Okay, let's do it. See, I'm gonna explain you everything, each and every line, the reason behind why we are writing that. Okay, fine. So producer, okay. Then first key serializer. It means it converts the message keys into what? Strings before sending to the Kafka. Okay, so string serializer, right? So Control Shift T and string serializer Kafka. Okay, yeah. Copy qualified name, copy. Okay, and paste it here. Yes, fine. Then value serializer. Okay, convert value into JSON. Okay, Control Shift T, JSON serializer. Okay, Kafka, yeah, this is. Control, copy the qualified name. Okay, and paste it here. Yeah, no need to by heart, just do the process. Fine. Next, acknowledgement. Okay, so let's keep it as all. Fine, ensure that producer should wait for the acknowledgement from all sync-in replicas. Okay, replicas. Did you know? Fine. Uh, Back to our that crash course video. Okay, and then retries. Retries. Okay, suppose producer sent the message to the Kafka. Okay, it got failed. So it will retry, let's say 3 times. Fine, retry. How many times? Once failed. If failed, then how many times should retry? Yeah, that's it. And now for the consumer. So same thing. Key value serializer. Now key value deserialization. Okay, consumer. Fine, need to deserialize. So first let me write the group ID. So group ID is demo group. Okay, if you remember. Then key deserializer. Okay, so string deserializer. Control Shift T. String deserializer. Kafka. Okay, this one. Copy qualified name and paste it here. Same thing. Value deserializer. Okay, yeah, deserializer. So JSON. So Control Shift T. JSON deserializer. Okay, yeah, the same. Copy qualified name. Okay, fine. Now auto offset reset. Okay, so auto offset reset. So the value is earliest. Okay, so it means when consumer group has no previous offset, so it should start from the beginning of the topic. Okay, Fine, that's it. And the last configuration is for the security purpose. So properties and Spring JSON, okay, trusted dot packages. Only classes from the model package can be deserialized to prevent the vulnerabilities. Fine. So the classes from the model, okay. Okay, fine. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so our application is completed. Fine. That's it required to build the Spring Boot app using Kafka. Okay, rest all is just a business logic. Okay, so everything is done. Now it's time to run our application. Okay, so where is my Postman? Let me open my Postman. Okay, fine. So now let me run my application. Okay, first let's run without debug and then later on we'll run. After that we'll run with using the debug. Okay. Okay. So our application is started. Fine. So let me see. Okay. Successfully joined the group. Hmm. And cluster ID subscribed. You can see subscribed to topic driver location. Okay, what we have created. I told you that how, see, first all the consumer services subscribe to the topic. Okay, now let me go to my controller and let me first check the health. Check health API messages. Okay, so local host 8080. Fine. And API messages. Check health. Okay, send. Yeah, Kafka server is running. Okay. Yeah, definitely. So Kafka server is running. Now let me hit this API send message. So API messages send message post request in the body raw JSON. Okay. I need to pass the message request. Okay, message request. That means message content and sender. So message content. Suppose message is your driver is 2 minutes away. Okay, and sender is Uber. Yeah, Uber is the sender. Fine. Okay, send. So message sent with the ID. Okay, that means successfully sent. Okay, let me just look into my console. The logging statements we've added. Definitely, you can see message sent. Okay, so first Kafka producer service. Okay, message sent with the offset and the offset is 0. Okay, now our consumer service listen and message received. Okay, so yeah, message received from topic. Okay, so topic driver location offset 0 and partition 0. 1 second, there is something. Oh, okay. I forget. Yeah, now fine. Placeholder and okay. So message sent, received, message content, okay. And processing message is your driver is 2 minutes away. This is what the message. Okay. The sender is Uber and message process successfully. Okay, fine. So now let me terminate it and let's run using debugging mode. Okay, message controller. Let's do it quickly. Find one debug point here.
one in the producer service, okay, one in the consumer service. Okay, fine. And here also, if you want, you can just add. Fine. Just double click on this bar. Okay, here. Just left adjacent to the numbers. Okay, yeah. So fine. Let me run as debug as Java applications. Okay, it is running. Okay, fine. Let it run. Okay, it's running fine. Silent exit exception. Okay, and now fine. So again, let me hit the API. So now let me change the message. Your driver is 2 minutes away. Your driver is 20 minutes away or 3 minutes away. Fine. Send. Okay. Definitely. In the message controller, send message line number 33. Yeah. It stops. Okay. Message ID generated. This is the unique ID we are generating. Fine. Let me go to the send message. Gone. Yeah. It comes. Control comes here in the producer service. Fine. Created the object, new object. Okay, you can see message. Your driver is 10 minutes away. We are sending and sender is Uber. Okay, next here. So info and what happened? And 1 second. Yeah, sending message to the topic driver location. Okay, fine. So this logging statement, sending message to topic. Then next, let me add the debug point here and here itself. Go on. Okay, fine. So what happened is, okay. Is there any exception? No, exception is null. That means else block. Okay. And message sent with the offset. See, message sent with the offset 1. Now the index is 1. Okay. So I told you offset is the position, just like an index number in the array. 0, 1, 2, 3. So this is what the offset. And initially we send one message. Your driver is 2 minutes away. Offset 0. Now another message. Your driver is 3 minutes away. Offset 1. Offset 1. Okay. Fine. The next is now our consumer listen. Okay. Listen. So yeah, now it is displaying correct. Message received from the topic driver location, partition 0 and offset 1. Okay. And this is the message content. Okay, you can see driver is 3 minutes away. Fine. And it will. Okay. So processing message. This is the message. Message processed successfully. Okay. Fine. Okay, okay. I guess the process is completed. Okay. No worries. So let me just see. Yeah, message sent with the ID, and this is what the unique ID we have generated. Okay, so this is what the complete code flow. Fine. We are sending the message using Postman, then hits to the controller, and then producer service, and then producer sending the message to the Kafka, and then there are different consumer service which we are going to create. Okay, so that those consumer service listen, you know, using the Kafka listener annotations. Okay, and already subscribe to the topic. Fine. So then we will process our whatever business logic, whatever our class is. Okay, whatever our consumer services. Okay, I hope you get everything. Okay, so this is what all about this video. And now one thing I need from your side is you can subscribe my channel or hit the like button, or you can comment down. You can just tell me uh, which video you want next. Okay, so that's all. And yeah, Well, my plan is to start the new playlist for the microservices projects and go on and on and on. Okay, till 25 to 30 real world projects. Okay, fine. So that's all for this video, and thank you.